The COVID-19 pandemic emerged as a silent storm, creeping into daily life unnoticed. It started with whispers, strange illnesses, a few hospitalizations, a virus that seemed distant and insignificant. People went about their lives, unaware that a monumental shift was approaching. But as days turned into weeks, the storm grew stronger, sweeping across continents and shattering the illusion of normalcy. At first, the world watched in disbelief. Rumors swirled about a mysterious illness, but many believed it would pass like others before it. Then reality struck with full force. Countries closed their borders. Streets emptied. Entire cities fell silent as people locked themselves inside their homes, glued to their screens, watching an invisible threat grow larger by the hour. Fear and uncertainty became as infectious as the virus itself. Hospitals turned into battlegrounds. Doctors and nurses, clad in layers of protective gear, worked tirelessly to save lives despite exhaustion, dwindling resources, and an ever-growing influx of patients. In some places, makeshift hospitals were built overnight, while in others, overwhelmed medical workers had to make impossible choices about whom to treat first. The world witnessed heartbreaking stories. Families separated, final goodbyes shared through video calls, and communities mourning in isolation. And yet, in the darkest moments, humanity showed its resilience. Neighbors left groceries at each other's doorsteps, musicians played from balconies, and essential workers became the silent heroes keeping society afloat. Governments scrambled to respond. Some imposed strict lockdowns, shutting down businesses and public spaces overnight. Others hesitated, torn between economic collapse and public health. In the absence of clear guidance, people turned to social media, where misinformation spread as quickly as the virus itself. Panic buying emptied store shelves, conspiracy theories gained traction, and trust in authorities wavered. The world was no longer just fighting a virus. It was battling fear, uncertainty, and division. Meanwhile, scientists worked at unprecedented speed, racing to understand the virus, to find treatments, and to develop a vaccine. Researchers in different corners of the world collaborated like never before, sharing data, running clinical trials, and pushing the limits of what was thought possible. The challenge was enormous, but so was the determination to overcome it. Days turned into months, and people adjusted. Work shifted from bustling office buildings to kitchen tables, with millions relying on video calls to stay connected. Schools moved online, forcing children and teachers into a new digital reality, struggling with internet access, attention spans, and the loss of social interaction. Celebrations, once filled with laughter and embraces, became distant affairs, marked by screens and quiet solitude. Weddings were postponed, funerals held in near emptiness, and holidays passed with families separated. Life continued, but it was a different kind of life, one defined by masks, social distancing, and the constant hum of uncertainty. Just as the world began to adapt, the virus evolved. New variants emerged, each more unpredictable than the last. Some were more contagious, others more deadly. Hopes of a swift resolution faded, replaced by the grim realization. This was not a battle that would be won in days or months. This was a war of endurance, and everyone was a soldier. And then, a glimmer of hope. Vaccines, developed in record time, became humanity's greatest weapon. The rollout was slow at first, hindered by logistical nightmares, vaccine hesitancy, and global inequality. Some countries received millions of doses, while others waited, helpless, as the virus continued to claim lives. But as more arms received their doses, the tides began to turn. Hospitals saw fewer severe cases, restrictions eased, and long-awaited reunions took place. The world exhaled cautiously, as life, though changed, began to resemble what it once was. Even as the worst seemed to be over, the scars remained. The economic toll was staggering. Businesses shuttered, Millions lost their jobs and entire industries were reshaped overnight. The psychological impact was just as severe. Anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress became widespread. The world had changed, and so had its people. Some emerged more cautious, forever marked by the trauma. Others were defiant, eager to reclaim lost time. The debate over freedom, responsibility, and trust in science continued to divide societies. In the end, the pandemic was more than a health crisis. It was a test of leadership, of science, of humanity. Some nations emerged stronger, their people united by shared struggle. Others fractured under the weight of conflicting ideologies and distrust. But through it all, one truth remained. Resilience is woven into the fabric of human existence. The world had faced an invisible enemy, suffered,